Okay. So a very good evening to everyone. As we are doing the previous year questions from the last week, and today we have reached to the second chapter of the ecology. Before that, we have completed the biotechnology and the genetics, right? So before starting the today's class, just let me know through this technical poll whether I'm audible and visible to you clearly or not. Okay. So here is the poll. You can give your answer. Okay, so as everything is in good, so let's start with our today's class. Okay, so today we are going to start with the ecosystems previous year question. Yesterday we have completed the question answers of the organism and population. So the ecosystem, as we have already discussed the chapter, we already revised this chapter. So here is the first question of this chapter. The question says the term ecosystem was coined by. You have to select the answer among the four options and you have to give your answer or response through this poll. And those who are not accessible to this poll can give their answer in chat box. Okay. So the question is the term ecosystem was coined by A. Ernst Haeckel, B. E. Warming, C. E.P. Odum, and D. The A.G. Tansley. Okay. So for this question, your MCQ poll is here and the poll will remain there for 20 seconds. You have to give your answer in 20 seconds. Okay. Okay, so 10 seconds are over. Left with the 5 more seconds. Okay. So in a 5 seconds, I'm going to over this poll and you have to give your answer through this poll only. And if you are not accessible to the poll, please give your answer in a chat box. Okay, so done. So as everyone has given the answer to this question, we know the term was coined, the ecosystem term was coined by the A.G. Tansley. Yes, so the answer to this question is option D. The next question of the day is here. Which one of the following is a characteristic feature of Corplan ecosystem? Here we are talking about the Corplan ecosystem. For we can say we are talking about the field which we are using for the farming, right? The agricultural fields, right? So you have to find out the one characteristic feature of the cropland ecosystem. Your options are A, absence of weeds, B, ecological succession, C, absence of soil organism, and D says the less genetic diversity. Now you have to give your answer with respect to the ecosystem, right? So what is the feature of that cropland ecosystem? The cropland ecosystem is a man-made ecosystem. As we know, it is not the naturally made. We are the ones who take the land, the piece of land, and make that land cultivated, right? We are making that land cultivational land, right? So it is an artificial ecosystem, or we can say the man-made ecosystem, right? So give your answer as 5 seconds are left only. Okay, so done. Let's discuss this options and then we get to know which one is a correct answer. So option A says absence of weed. We know wherever we do the farming or wherever we grow one particular plant as a crop, the weeds also grows, right? Because the soil is containing so many types of seeds itself because of that wind and water. So the absence of weed could not be a feature of the ecosystem, right? Ecological succession. Here is no ecological succession taking place. That part of land is basically used for the cultivation, right? So here we are using only a one type of species again and again. The absence of soil erosion, that would not be possible because that land is for agriculture. So as you know, for agriculture, we need the soil organisms to fix the nutrient molecules. Okay, so that would not be possible. So here we can see, and we already know that on croplands, on the farmlands, we are growing only one kind of the plant, right, as a crop. So yes, we can say there we found the less genetic diversity. Okay, because we are not discussing the agriculture here, we are discussing our ecosystem. So when we discuss our ecosystem, we can say yes, due to the presence of only one species, there we have the least genetic diversity. Okay, so for this, the answer of question number second is D. Now we have the second next question, the third question, which is saying the vertical distribution of genetics, different species occupying different levels in our biotic community is known as. Okay, so here we have done the vertical distribution, right? So species are differentiated vertically and they are occupying a particular level in the biotic community. Biotic, that means living community. So what you call that zoning, or we can say the different levels which are segregated vertically. Your option A, zonation, B, pyramid, C, divergence, and D is stratification. So out of these four options, which one is the correct? The poll for the feedback for your responses here, and the poll will stay there for only 20 seconds. Okay, so you have to give your answer in these 20 seconds, out of which the 5 seconds are already over. Okay, in the next 5 seconds, I am going to close the poll, and those who are not accessible to the poll, please give their answer through the chat box. Okay, so here I am ending the poll. So as we have already studied this, when we distribute or when we segregate the species on the basis of their vertical zoning, right? So here you can see we have the different types of plants or trees who are differentiated vertically on the basis of their height. So here we can see a declining linear slope is present. So depending on their height, we can also say this vertical distribution, not only for the plants is there, it is also done for different types of ecosystem. Here we have also studied this vertical distribution in a aquatic ecosystem, right? If this is an aquatic ecosystem, we have seen that the zoning of water during the different season, if it is a harsh winters or a proper winter, the upper layer of aquatic ecosystem was frozen, that was present in the form of ice, whereas the lower water, the lower zone of the water was having the temperature higher as compared to the upper layer, right? So these vertical zoning, here we also done the vertical zoning. When we do the vertical zoning, basically we are doing the stratification. So whenever we distribute the species on vertically, then we are doing the stratification. Okay, so answer to this question is option D. The next question, question number 4, it says, which one of the following is not a functional unit of an ecosystem? Now you have to find out the functional unit of an ecosystem. Okay, your options are A, energy flow, B, decomposition, C, productivity, and D, stratification. For this, your poll is here. Give your response through this poll. Okay, so poll will end in next 5 seconds. Okay. So we know in an ecosystem, energy flow is seen from producers to the consumer, because as we move on to the tropical levels, right, the consumption of energy decreases. That is the energy flow. The decomposition is there because in an ecosystem, we have two types of food chain, the land food chain and the detritus food chain. So decomposition is required in any of the ecosystem because this decomposition helps in maintaining the nutrient cycle, the backflow of the nutrients which are trapped in the form of organic matter. So decomposition is also a functional unit of an ecosystem. Then C is saying productivity. Yes, productivity is also there. But stratification is not the feature, or we can say the functional unit of an ecosystem, right? So the answer is D. So answer to this question is option D, that is stratification. Now we are moving towards the next question, question number 5. It's saying which one of the following is one of the characteristic of a biological community? Right here we are talking about the living organism, and you have to find out the one characteristic. A, stratification, B, natality, C, mortality, and the D, sex ratio. You have to find out the characteristic of biological community, right? So give your answer through this poll. The poll will stay for only 20 seconds. You have to give your answer as soon as possible. Okay, the 10 seconds are over. You have to buck up your speed and give your answer as fast as you can, because you have to increase your speed while answering the questions. That is how you get practice for the NEET exam, right? So, okay, I'm closing the poll. Okay, so we know the natality, mortality, and sex ratio. These are all the characteristics of population, not the biological community, right? So the characteristic of biological community is the stratification. Okay, so property, or we can say the characteristic of biological community is stratification, whereas the natality, mortality, and sex ratio is the feature of the population. Okay. The next question of the day, question number 6. Which of the following is a most stable ecosystem? Now you are having the 4 different ecosystem in the options: A, mountain, B, ocean, C, forest, and D, desert. Now you have to find out among these 4 which one is the most stable ecosystem. Okay, give your answer or response in this poll, and those who are not accessible to the poll, please give their answer to the chat. Okay, so your time is over. Now I'm closing the poll. Okay. So out of these 4, as we know, as the altitude changes, as the geographical region changes, the effect of temperature, effect of environmental condition, or we can say the climate, uh, occurs on all the 3, like mountain, forest, and desert is there. But when we go for the ocean, there is no such changes, right? Because there we are not moving from one geographical region to another. The ocean is itself a huge ecosystem where we cannot see the industrialization. Farming is not there. We are not continuously making changes in that ecosystem. So that is how the stability of the oceans remains. That is why you can say out of these 4, the ocean is the most stable ecosystem. To answer to this question is option B. Now your next question, question number 7 here is, in relation to the gross primary productivity and net primary productivity of an ecosystem, which one of the following statement is correct? Now you have to find out the correct statement regarding the gross primary productivity, that is we also known as GPP, and the net primary productivity, which we are known as, or we call as NPPP. Okay, so your statement first says the gross primary productivity is always less than the net primary productivity. That is, GPP is less than NPP. B option says GPP is always more than NPP. Okay. Option C says the GPP, that is gross primary productivity, is equals to the NPP, that is net primary productivity. And D says there is no relationship between the GPP and the NPP. Okay, so among these four statements, which one is the correct? You have to give your answer in 20 seconds only, because we have continuously discussing this question and we have already taken a good amount of time to understand these options. So here is your timer started and 15 seconds are 5 seconds are already over. Then the next 10 seconds I'm going to end the poll. So you have to give your answer in these next 5 seconds only. Okay, so now I'm ending the poll. Okay, so as we all know, the gross primary productivity, that is the GPP. GPP is the actual amount of energy available to us, right? It is the actual amount of energy available to us for the production of the organic matter, right? And NPP is the product which we have formed after doing some reaction. For example, we can say during photosynthesis, the amount of sunlight or the sun energy, or we can say the solar energy or the light energy given to the plant is along with the carbon dioxide and water is the net amount of GPP, right? But after completion of photosynthesis, what amount of energy we are getting there in the product, that is in a carbohydrate, that is our NPP. And as you know, when we make some product, we always use some amount of energy as a respiration loss. So we know the NPP. NPP is actually GPP minus respiration loss. So when we are reducing the amount of respiration loss from the GPP, only then the NPP is obtaining. So that is how the amount of GPP is always greater than the NPP. So in response to that, we can say the option B is the correct answer to our question. Okay. Now we have the question number 8. The mass of living material at a tropic level at a particular time is 4. We are talking about the mass, that is amount of living material which is present at the tropical level at a particular time. We have a specific term for that. Option A, net primary productivity. B, standing crop. C, gross primary productivity. And D, the standing state. So out of these four options, which one is the correct? You have to give your answer through this poll. The poll will remain for 20 seconds, as you know. So we have to find out the term which is used for the mass of living matter, which is present at a tropical level at a particular time. Okay, in a 5 seconds, the poll is going to end. Okay, so here I am ending the poll. Okay, the term which we have already studied, the mass of the living material which is present at the tropical level at a particular time is known as the standing crop. So answer to this question is option B, that is standing crop. Now we have the question number 9. In question number 9, the question asks, in an ecosystem, the rate of production of organic matter. Here we are discussing the rate of production of organic matter during the photosynthesis. What is the term used for this rate of production of organic matter? A, secondary productivity. B, net productivity. C, net primary productivity. Or D, the gross primary productivity. So here we have the four terms. Out of these four terms, which one is correct? Which one is the rate of production of organic matter? Secondary productivity, net primary productivity, or the gross primary productivity. Okay, for that you have the poll here. I hope you have already chosen your answer. So the poll will last for only 15 seconds. You have to give or feed your response in this 15 seconds only. Okay, so last 5 seconds are left. Okay, so now here I am closing the poll. Okay. So we know the rate of production of organic matter during the photosynthesis. The photosynthesis is taking place. It is not yet over, right? When it gets over and the product we get, that is your net primary productivity. But here we are talking about the rate of the production of organic matter. It is always known as the gross primary productivity, right? So the option, the correct answer for the question number 9 is D. Next question is the secondary productivity is the rate of formation of new organic matter by. Here we know the two types of productivity are there, primary and secondary. So here the question is asking that the primary secondary productivity is the rate of formation of new organic matter by what kind of organism? A, consumers, B, decomposers, C, producers, and D, parasites. Okay, so you have to choose among these four which kind of organism is actually responsible for the secondary productivity. I'm repeating the options once again. A, consumer, B, decomposers, C, producers, and D, parasites. Last 5 seconds are left for the poll to be end. Okay. Now I'm ending the poll. Okay. So as we know, we have two types of organism in any of the food chain. The producers, which are the primary ones, and then we have the consumers, in which we have the different category, right? So when we go for the productivity, initially the product is formed by the producers, which are consumed by the consumers, right? That is why they are known as consumer. So we can say the secondary productivity, that means the second time formation of product is taken by only the consumers, right? So second primary productivity is related to the producers, whereas the secondary productivity is related to the consumer. So the answer to this question number 10 is option A. Okay, your next question, question number 11. The rate of formation of new organic matter by rabbit in a grassland is called. Now here we have a particular organism, that is rabbit, and here we have the ecosystem, that is grassland. So tell me what is the correct answer. You are already getting the hint because we have already discussed this productivity thing in the previous 2-3 questions, right? A, net productivity, B, secondary productivity, C, net primary productivity, and the D, gross primary productivity. So poll will end in only 15 seconds. You have to give your answer as soon as possible because we have already discussed this question in the last 3. We have already discussed this concept in the last 3 questions. Okay, so now the poll is going to end in 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Okay, so here we have the grassland, the ecosystem. That means again we are moving towards a food chain. The producer is a grass, whereas the rabbit is a herbivore. So rabbit is a consumer. So whatever food is made by the rabbit after the consumption of the grass, it is known as the secondary productivity because rabbit here is a consumer and grass is the producer, right? So the rate of formation of new organic matter by the rabbit, the consumer, is known as secondary productivity. The next question is mass of living matter at a tropical level in an area at any time is called. This is just we have just discussed. This is the same statement which we have discussed earlier. What is the mass of living matter which is present at a tropical level at a particular time is known as option A, standing crop, B, detritus, C, humus, or D, the standing state. You have to give your answer. Yeah, that's right. It is option A, standing crop. Okay, question number 13 here is the biomass available for consumption by the herbivores and the decomposers is called. Here we are consuming the things, right? So the biomass available for the consumption by the herbivores and the decomposers is called. Herbivores and decomposers, both are the consumers, right? So option A, net primary productivity, B, secondary productivity, C, standing crop, or D, gross primary productivity. So whatever they eat or whatever they consume, it is a product formed by the earlier organism to them. Okay. And whatever amount of product we are forming or whatever amount of product is produced, or we can say organic matter is produced by an organism, is always comes under the net primary productivity, right? It is always comes under the net primary productivity. So answer is option A, because here we are talking about the biomass available, that is the amount of organic matter available. It is not the rate. So that is why we are not taking the secondary productivity. Here we are also not taking the amount of biomass at a particular place at a particular time. That is standing crop is also not there. And gross primary productivity is also not there, because we are not giving them a particular amount for the formation of new organic matter. Okay. So moving to the next question, the question number 14 is here, which says, which of the following ecosystem types has the highest annual net primary productivity? Among the 4 different ecosystems, you have to find out the ecosystem which is the most stable, which is having the rich biodiversity, because wherever we have the rich biodiversity, only there we get the net highest annual primary productivity, right? The primary productivity where the vegetation is high. So option A, tropical deciduous forest; B, temperate evergreen forest; C, the temperate deciduous forest; and D, the tropical rainforest. You have to select the correct option. The poll is here. The timer is for 20 seconds only. So please give your response as soon as possible. Okay. While talking to this, only 5 seconds are already over. So the poll remain here for the next 15 seconds. Okay, the poll is going to end in the next 5 seconds. Please give your answer as soon as possible. Okay. So I am ending the poll here. Okay. As you know, the tropical rainforest is the place where we are getting adequate amount of water through the rainfall and the temperature, right? We have the adequate amount of water and temperature present in this region. So here we have the dense vegetation, and wherever we have the dense vegetation throughout the year, right? Throughout the year, only from there we get the maximum amount of net primary production. So the answer to this question is option D. Okay. Next question says, which of the following is expected to have the highest value? सबसे ज़्यादा value किसकी होगी? In grassland ecosystem, secondary production, tertiary production, gross production, or net production. The highest value of the following is different in an ecosystem. So you have to find out the the option which is having the maximum value at the grassland ecosystem. Okay, so your poll is running this side. The 5 seconds are over. Okay, in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to end the poll. You have to choose your option. I'm repeating the options once again. A, secondary production; B, tertiary production; C, gross production; and D, the net production. So out of this, which is your correct answer? As we know, the secondary production is related to the consumer. Tertiary production is further related to the decomposers. Gross production, that means the total production, net, the product we form. So out of these 4, the gross, that is estimated amount, we are estimating, we are assuming is always higher than what actual product we are getting, right? So the answer to this question is option D, the net, option C, the gross production. The next question of the day, the question number 16 is, the rate at which the light energy is converted to the chemical energy of organic molecule in the ecosystem is known as. You have to find out. Here we are converting the light energy to the chemical energy, right? So in our ecosystem, what is the type of organism who is able to convert the light energy into chemical energy? And with respect to that, you have to choose your answer. So for that, your option A is secondary productivity, B, gross primary productivity, C, net primary productivity, and the D, gross primary productivity. As the poll was residing beside the question reading, so you have only 10 seconds left to give your answer. In the next few seconds, I'm going to end the poll. You have to give your response. Okay, so here I'm ending the poll. Okay, as we know, the light energy is converted to chemical energy during the process of photosynthesis, right? And photosynthesis is only done by the producers, okay? And whatever the rate of production, here is thing is converting, that is production is going on. So wherever the production of organic molecule is taking place, the answer is always gross primary production because it is involving the producers. Okay. Question number 17 here is, which of the following ecosystem has the highest gross primary productivity? Again, the same question, same concept. Wherever you have the highest or the dense, or we can say the rich vegetation, there you found the highest gross primary production, right? So your option are A, mangrove, B, rainforest, C, grasslands, and D, coral reef. So out of these four ecosystems, where you find the dense vegetation? Okay, you have to give your answer. The poll is launching and you have to give your answer in 20 seconds. I'm again repeating the options once again with the question, which of the following ecosystem has the highest gross primary productivity? Your option A, mangroves, B, rainforest, C, grassland, and D, the coral reefs. Okay, so out of these four options, you have to choose the correct answer. Now, in the 5 seconds, I'm going to close the poll. Okay, so here I'm ending the poll. The answer is rainforest. As we have already discussed, here we have the adequate temperature and adequate water supply. So due to which the dense vegetation is found. Okay. Let's move to the next question, the question number 18. Maximum solar energy is trapped by, out of these four options, which one trap the maximum amount of solar energy? A, planting trees, B, cultivating crops, C, the growing algae in tank, and D, the growing grasses. Now this is a tricky question. You have to choose the correct answer. So the poll is here. I'll give you the poll for the next 20 seconds. Okay. Peacefully understand this question and give your answer. Option A, planting trees. Option B, cultivating crops. Option C, growing algae in tanks. And option D, growing grasses. Okay, so last 5 seconds are left. Okay, so here is the ending of poll. Everyone knows the out of these, the primary producer is algae here, right? The first producer is algae. So the maximum amount of energy is trapped by the growing algae in the tanks. Okay, the next question is the conceptual based question. It is the data based question. So a very efficient converter of solar energy with net productivity of 204 kg per meter square or more is the crop A, wheat, B, sugarcane, C, rice, and D, bajra. You have to find out the correct answer. This is the database. So here we do not need any concept. You have to go through the data before answering for this question. So as I can say, the answer to this question is option B. the sugar cane. Okay. Next question is, which of the following processes during the decomposition is correctly described? Here are some four different processes are given which are included in the decomposition process, right? The first is catabolism, last step in the decomposition under fully anaerobic condition. B, leaching, that is water soluble inorganic nutrients rise to the top layer of the soil. C, the fragmentation carried out the organism such as the earthworm. And D is saying the leads to the accumulation of the dark colored substance humus which undergoes microbial action at a very fast rate. So out of these four you have to find out the correct statement which is describing the correct process of the decomposition, right? Yes. So the answer is C, the fragmentation. Fragmentation is carried out by the earthworm. They are breaking down the large organic matter into the simpler one so that it get fragmentized and further get attacked by the microorganism for the conversion of those simple organic matter into the inorganic substance. Okay. So option C is the correct answer. Next, we have the question number 21. It says the breakdown of detritus. Detritus is a semi-decomposed compound, or we can say the simple organic matter in the smaller particles, that is the inorganic particles by earthworm is the process called, just we have discussed this question. So the answer is direct, the option B, the fragmentation. Okay. So you have to be very attentive while taking the test or while doing the questions. Okay, the next question is saying the slow rate of decomposition of fallen log in nature is due to. Here the decomposition rate is slow. That means the decomposition is going very low. There are several factors which are responsible for the decreased rate of decomposition, right? So you have to find out among these four. Option A, anaerobic environment around them. B, low cellulose content. C, low moisture content. And D, the poor nitrogen content. So here we are talking about the fallen logs. So you have to find out which is the correct option regarding this decomposition, slow rate of decomposition. Here is your poll. The poll will reside for 20 seconds only. Buck up your speed and give your answer as quick as possible. I'm repeating the options. A, anaerobic environment around them. B, low cellulose content. C, low moisture content. And D, poor nitrogen content. Okay, so last 5 seconds are left. You have to give your answer fast. Okay, so now I am ending the poll. As you know, for the decomposition, if the content of the nitrogen, and water is high, the decomposition rate is high, right? Whereas if the temperature is warm and we have the humidified region, right? Humidified, that means we are having the moist area, then the decomposition is again high. Okay, so here the condition which is not favored for the decomposition is the poor nitrogen content, right? So we can say the option to this question, the correct answer to this question is option D, the poor nitrogen content. Okay. Okay, so the next question for the day, plant decomposers are. Here we are talking about plant decomposers. Okay, option A, Morera and fungi. B, fungi and plants. C, Protista and Animalia. And D, Animalia and Monera. You have to find out the group of organisms which are responsible for the decomposition of plants. So here is the poll. You can give your response to this poll. Option A is Monera and fungi. Option B, fungi and plants. Option C says Protista and Animalia. And option D says Animalia and Monera. You have to find out the plant decomposers. Okay. So the plant decomposers are belonging to which family you have to find out. The time for the poll is about to end. So here I am ending the poll. As we know, the decomposers are the microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. Okay, and you know the bacteria, two types of bacteria category are there, archaebacteria and eubacteria. Both are belonging to the one domain only, that is Monera. So we can say the option A is the correct option answer for the question number 23, that the plant decomposers are the Monera and the fungi. The next question says, which of the following act as a nature's scavengers? Scavengers who are working or who are consuming the dead plants, or we can say the dead bodies of the living organism. A, insects, B, microorganisms, C, man, and D, animals. Oh, very good. Everyone has given before completing the question I am reading. So everyone has given the answer D. Yes, the microorganisms are known as the nature's scavenger. They always feed on the dead organic matter so that they easily convert that organic matter into the simpler inorganic substance. Now here we have the last question of the day, that is question number 25. If we completely remove the decomposer from an ecosystem, here we are talking about the extinction of decomposers, okay, from the ecosystem, its functioning will be adversely affected. Now, if the decomposition get completely vanished from the ecosystem, what will happen? A, mineral movement will be blocked. B, the rate of decomposition is very high. C, the energy flow will be blocked. Or D, the herbivores will not receive solar energy. Out of these four options, you have to find out your correct answer. Okay. So what is the correct answer regarding you? So the poll for the response is here. The poll stay for another 20 seconds. Just think about it and give your correct answer. A, mineral movement will be blocked. B, the rate of decomposition will be very high. C, energy flow will be blocked. And D, the herbivores will not receive solar energy. Okay. So I'm ending the poll on as the 3 seconds are left only. So 3, 2, 1. Okay. So here we have ended the poll. And as we have already discussed this, if the decomposers are not there, then the mineral cycle will get completely disturbed, because whatever mineral is trapped in the organic matter will never get returned back to the soil in the form of inorganic matter, because the plant or the producer can only consume the mineral in the form of inorganic matter, right? So the answer to this question is A, the mineral movement will be blocked. Okay. So this is all for today. We have completed the 25 questions very early today. So here we are ending the class or the discussion of previous year question with this NPS poll. Please give your feedback to this NPS poll. Okay. And this NPS poll will further reside here on 30 seconds. You have to give your feedback, and after that you can leave your class. Okay. So the poll is still here. Please give your answer. Okay, so now I am ending the NPS poll. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow with the next chapter, that is biodiversity, and we'll discuss the previous year question of that. Okay.